Hello, my name is Arthur, and in the last video we did a little bug fixing and a little bit more taking things out of global scope. And in this video we're going to reorganize a little bit, and then we're going to look at breaking this 1,000 lines of script into more than one file and have a look at how to get something like a header file and more than one file working together. So I'm just going to go up the script to find some of my signal things. So I have the key release, the key press, and the page switch signals. So I'm going to take and I'm going to move these out of here. So we'll cut that out of here and take it up above all of the things that are actually just making the GUI. So this is pretty much where making the GUI ends, and then we go into signals from button click and things like that. So we can paste that stuff into here. We'll just glance across it to make sure none of it's making function calls that it's not going to be able to understand. Now we have delete tabs here. This one is a little out of place too. So let's cut that out. Because then we have open, make a new tab, and then close tab. So the deleting and closing tab things, those should probably be more in this kind of area, so they're sorted together. Then we have the save file, close file, save as, write, and write failed. Then beyond that, we have stuff like copy, delete, and text size, the search, highlighted, highlight, replace, all of these functions. And these functions are kind of into less the GUI and more into things that do things for the GUI. And then we have these functions, which are, we have a convenience, some get functions to avoid global declarations. And then we're up into some definitions, a variable. This one, I was thinking we could change this one from a constant to being like this one. So let it calculate its size. So let's have it calculate its size as being the more standard way that this generally gets done. So this would just get changed to menu list. And this is MU button, so for menu button. So that should work. Then we have this constant. That's probably not really in the right place. And then the text editor's up here. Could probably go along with the functions that they go along with. So that gives that puts the structure here, like it gives a little bit of structure that makes a bit more sense, and sort of leaves a position where we can save a duplicate of this file. So we won't actually save a duplicate of it, we'll make a duplicate of it. So I have an empty header file here, and let's just get the size of that up some. So basically it's just the header guards. So I have the basic header guards here. Now we can take this one, we're going to Control A to select all, Control C to copy it, and we're going to paste the whole thing into here. And then we're going to take out the things that don't belong here. So things that don't belong here are the includes. The constant can stay. These are declarations that can stay because they're definitions. This does not stay. This one would not stay because it's not a definition, it's an initialization. So these are initializations too. Then from here, what we want for our header file is just declarations of the functions. So we would go through all of the functions, take out their body, end them with a semicolon, so that what we end up with is a bunch of declarations for all of the functions that exist here. Now, with my amount of experience in C, I'm not 100% certain what a properly divided up program should look like. Because there's two kinds of states when I look for examples for header files, how to use them, how to break down programs sensibly. So there's two kinds of states that I find when looking for stuff like that. One is content for header files that is, well, it's kind of just dumb because the examples are so oversimplified that they don't make any sense. And then there's examples that are so complicated that they don't make sense, which kind of leaves me either going to university to get a degree in computer science or figuring stuff out for myself as to what seems to work for me. So rather than going and getting an education, I'm going to do this instead. And just look at how I can get things working for myself. So this is a bit time consuming. But once it's done, it's done. And yeah, it will kind of give a different perspective on the program to actually see it laid out in this fashion. And to see what that how the header file reads. Because rather than having all of those function bodies in the way, we'll actually be able to see the whole program in a different way. That's a little less confusing. So rather than seeing all of how it does things, we'd be able to more look at what order it's doing them in, how it's laid out. And hopefully where we can okay, this one is a declaration that's declared right here, so we don't want to make the same declaration twice. So we're getting close here. So that's our itters. We don't want to take the space out there because that space was put in on purposely. So hopefully I haven't skipped through and deleted any really necessary things. So what we do up here with the guards is we make up a name. So we're basically going to make up a name for these things, which we're going to call main H, main H, and then down at the bottom, most examples that I see have the name commented out down here. So basically what this does is it defines all of these things, and the guards are there to stop definitions from being recognized twice. So that looks just about right. So over in this file, what we'd be looking to do is to take out the things that are defined here. Now this one I'm a little unsure on because I'm not sure if that should be defined size equals 10 or if it will settle for that, but we'll find out. So that'll be a little bit of learning there. So we have, these are definitions. We're in the main C file now. So now we'll take out the definitions that we just defined. So these things are defined in the header file now, and the same as this. So now we have a header file and a main C. So let's take this. We're going to call it main.h. So main.h, save. So that's now in there. I still have the empty in there, and we'll see if this compiles and runs. So that would be the first step, to get it to compile and run like this. So it seems to be satisfied with that. We'll load up a file, do a search, type some text, replace our search results. Everything seems to be working. So there's the first part of breaking our program down. And we haven't actually broke it down at all, right? What we've done is separated it into some pieces. So let's take and we'll open a new file. So we'll just go new and new. Actually, we'll go new and we'll drag in our header file again. Oh, we'll drag in our header file and then I guess we'll go new. New. So let's look at let's go to just a small one. Let's take our cut and paste. So cut and paste is like two functions. So we're going to cut that out of here. We're going to paste it into here. Let's change our language to C. Whoops, we gotta double click that. We'll bring up the size of this and we'll bring up the size of this. Okay, so let's see, what do we have here? So what we need to include here is we'll include GTK, GTK.h, and we'll include main.h, and we'll notice that on the system file we use the greater than less than bracket, and on our file we use quotation marks. So in empty, what we want to do is we want to come up and we'll go, we just pulled copy and paste out of main. So we're going to cut copy and paste out of main. We're going to put them into here. Let's call this clipboard H. So we'll just copy this. Here. In main, we'll include clipboard.h, and we'll announce that properly. I think that we need to include main.h too. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that we do, because it has our definitions in it. That way we'll be sure that everything got saved. Because I'm not sure that I saved main C before we tested it. So this one will save as clipboard.h. Save. This one will save as clipboard.c. Save. We'll make sure that we've saved main H. We'll go through all of our files and make sure they're saved. Then we'll just get an idea where we're at here. I'm not 100% sure on compiling this. So that's a whole bunch of problems. Let's see. So let's close that one up. Let's see what we have here. So this time when we do that, we're going to go and modify this and go clipboard. .c. Okay, let's see what these are all saying. That looks like a complaint about something. Let's get right up to the top of this. It's an awful lot of warnings. There we go. It looks like it starts right there. So that one semicolon can cause some chaos. So let's see where that actually puts us. So we'll reset and clear. Redefinition of previous clicked. 261 and 80. So there's the problem there. That is not the way it should look. So we're getting closer here. It looks so overwhelming with all those errors. Okay, multiple definition of size. So that's this one. I wonder if we went define, define size. If that would help things along. I'm not exactly 100% sure where that should go, in all honesty, because these are things that I'm attempting to learn myself. Okay, so it doesn't like that. Define size. I'm not exactly sure how that should get written. If I can't figure it out, I'll just move it. Yeah, it's not happy with that. So we're gonna move that. We'll just cut it out. I'm not 100% certain on where this needs to be. So we'll just change this back to a constant int. Save that, make sure everything's saved, and then try the compile again. Oh. Now we do need the equal sign. Alright. There we go. So that should have us functioning where our clipboard is now in a different file. We should have a decent idea of how to get the search functions also into a different file. So speaking of search functions, and let's see how the clipboard is working. So let's cut something out, let's paste something in. So things are still working, but we've taken a first step in figuring out how to separate and break down our program into different files. So in the next video, we'll look at taking the search functions and putting them into their own file, and then maybe how we would look at start writing a file, writing forward using different files. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure on a lot of things. So exactly how the file should end up looking, like what should go in what, I'm not 100% sure on. I'm not 100% sure on what kind of how many rules there actually are. What I do know is that when I try to find examples, what I'll either find is things that are oversimplified or things that are very complicated. And a lot of the write-ups say that, oh, H files and breaking your program down like this are about making things easier to read and statements like that. But then when I look at examples, I'm like, well, yeah, that doesn't look a heck of a lot easier to read. It actually looks a little convoluted and kind of like it's broken down to make it harder to read. So yeah, it leaves me a little uncertain on certain things, but this is a step towards the right direction, I'd imagine, to be able to break our program down into into our actual GUI application and the book, the notebook, the text type of things, and then break it down to things like a clipboard, your word search, and then things that would also be aside, like they wouldn't be lumped into the main C file, would be things like check spelling, or if we were to wander off into something like syntax highlighting, those things would get written in different files like this. So hopefully this is helpful and in the right direction, and until the next video, take care.